just say what he is dealing with, okay, so that we know what subject is dealing from one level to another level. So it will be a very brief thing. For instance, in the other one, the previous chapter that we have read, the divine and the undivine, we can sum up the whole thing. We don't go into details, but we can sum up the whole thing by saying, is there really something undivine? That's the whole question he's dealing with. And then he says, according to the Advaita philosophy, there are many other philosophies. Yes, there is the divine up there and there is the undivine here, and which is permanently undivine. But Sri Aurobindo's philosophy and the Advaita philosophy do not subscribe to that view. So basically, what she's saying in that chapter, he's going into great detail and discussing all the different theories. But his theory is everything is essentially divine. Essentially divine. But from the highest level, highest is a way of speaking, no? Because there is no such thing as highest or lowest. Okay? It's very clear. Even Sri Aurobindo says that, and others also say that. Suppose I am standing on the globe, okay, on the earth. The up is for me something above my head. But the fellow who is standing at the other end, diametrically opposite end of the earth, okay, what is his? Up. His up is my down. So there is no such thing as up and down. Okay, so everything is the divine. So it's a relative way of speaking. So it's okay. It's very useful for us to understand. So at the highest level, there is the divine, pure, perfect, Satchidananda, infinite, eternal. But he wants to manifest himself. That question we have discussed also, why he wants to manifest himself. It's an adventure. And when he manifests himself, manifestation we have already seen make the formless form. And when you are making a form, you are limiting everything. You are limiting the substance, you are limiting the ananda, you are limiting your consciousness. Every limitation is the basic law of manifestation. So when you manifest, there is a diminution of consciousness, diminution of it. So it amounts to an imperfection. So the more you manifest yourself, you are going more and more towards the apparent imperfection. So everything is essentially divine, but at the highest level, divine without any undivinity. And at the lowest level, undivine, but hiding in that undivine is a divine. So there is a gradation. This is basically what he's saying in the chapter, divine and the undivine. Nothing is really undivine. Everything is divine but closed, divine but hidden, divine but veiled. And the more you come down, the more veils there are. And there are two: evolution of the individual and evolution of the universe also. So both are evolving upwards and removing one by one the veils. That is the individual as well as the universal. Yeah. Okay, so that's what basically he's saying in the chapter. Okay.
Rangada?
Yeah. Tell me.
This sort of summary we would like of the other three chapters also. Indeterminates, cosmic determinations, then Brahma Purush Ishvara. You have already done that once about of that chapter, Brahman Purush Ishvara. But again, we would like and eternal and the individual. The first part of the first.
No, Archana D. We start from
You're talking of the first book.
Because then it is more comprehensive.
Yasmin Di, I got your point. Actually, I have been doing this class right from the beginning, from when the children were doing now. So he has done the first part 4, and I have attended that. So that's why that's what just I was going to tell, that you had done that for the first portion, and the first book is at least a clarity is there that what he is saying in that. Maybe not the details, but at least. So same way I wanted for the book too. So because I think in the beginning you were not attending the classes. In the beginning, bilkul wrong back I'm talking of, maybe more than a year back. So that time we had done this, he had done it for the children and I was with them, the knowledge students. So maybe if you repeat, it is nice for me also. No, or it will have, I'll have a record also. I mean, like,
No,
it's being
because
recorded.
what I feel is that it will be something complete, a total.
Yes, I got your point. I got it. That's what I am agreeing with
Wide
you. Yes.
horizon, you know.
Yeah.
So,
I got your point.
huh.
Okay. So, yeah, so should we do that today or tomorrow? Next time.
As
No,
it
we
is
can-
convenient for you, Rangada.
Yeah.
No, so which chapter are you saying that I should say in brief? Which chapter? Cosmic determination and indeterminable.
No, Rangada, let me be clear, because we were talking, I said that for the first 3 chapters also of this book too. But what Yasmin Di wants, she wants for the book 1 also.
Oh.
An overview of all the chapters. So that's what I was telling, that
No.
knowledge students who keep repeating. So we can have that book 1 maybe later, whatever is convenient for you. Are
Yeah.
you clear now what we want? Because we were talking among ourselves and.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. But Yasmin, if you want to go back to book 1, it's a huge affair, no? It's a very big thing, so many chapters. So that will, it'll be a repetition, but it'll, I'll do one thing. I'll try, okay? So that book 1, let us do afterwards, okay? So,
Okay. As long as you do it.
yeah, we can do it. We can do it, but so today, what should we do today? Should we do the next chapter?
Chapter 5. We start chapter 5.
Okay, that's
So
right.
we give you enough time so that you can decide what exactly you want to say.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, Rangada, but Rangada, I would request that these 3 chapters of this book, we could do it either today or in the next class.
Okay.
And the
Next
chapter book 1, we could do it later. Yeah.
Okay. I agree. And next time, when we are on Wednesday, Wednesday and Thursday are like mine.
Yes.
I will tell you briefly, chapter 1 and chapter 2. Yeah. Okay. I'll do that.
Chapter 1, 2, 3 of book 2. That's it.
Okay.
Today we can go on to chapter 5.
Yeah, we'll go
now.
to chapter 5. So, one of you has to read. Okay. Archana Di, you read first. Then
yes, Rangada. Just I'm clicking on the page. 1 minute. Okay. Chapter 5, the cosmic illusion, mind, dream, and hallucination.
Yes.
Thou who hast come to this transient and unhappy world, turn to me. Gita, 9th chapter, 33 shlok.
Yeah.
This self is a self of knowledge, an inner light in the heart. He is the conscious being common to all the states of being and moves in both worlds. He becomes a dream self and passes beyond this world and its forms of death. There are 2 planes of this conscious being, this and the other worlds. A third state is the place of joining, the state of dream. And when he stands in this place of the joining, he sees both planes of his existence, this world and the other world. When he sleeps, he takes the substance of this world in which all is, and himself undoes and himself builds by his own illumination, his own light. When this conscious being sleeps, he becomes luminous with his self-light. There are no roads, nor chariots, nor joys, nor pleasures, nor tanks, nor ponds, nor rivers, but he creates them by his own light, for he is the maker. By sleep he casts off his body, and unsleeping sees those that sleep. He preserves by his life breath this lower nest and goes forth, immortal from his nest. Immortal he goes where he wills, the golden Purusha, the solitary swan. They say the country of waking only is his for the things which he sees when awake. These only he sees when asleep. But there he is his own self-light. Brihadanyaka Upanishad 4, 3, 7, 9 to 12, 14. What is seen and what is not seen? What is experienced and what is not experienced? What is and what is not? All it sees, it is all and sees. Prashna Upanishad 4, 5. Do I stop here, Angada, or I go to the paragraph?
Uh, what do you say? I think. Okay, we'll do one thing.
We stop here. We stop here.
We stop here.
Yeah,
Okay.
second one is so.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll go back to the quotations. All right. So, thou who has come to this transient and unhappy world, turn to me. You see? Kim punar brahma punya bhakta rajarshayasthatha anityamastam lokamimam prapya bhajasva. So once you have come into this transient world, anityam and asukham, suffering, the world of suffering and transience, turn to me. That's your only option. That's what the Gita says in chapter 9, verse 33. So that's the only solution. Turn to God to get rid of your suffering and your transience. That's the Gita. Now the big quotation from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, and the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad is really a Brihad, okay, like this Chandogya, it's very big, yeah. And the quotation also here is very big, okay. So we'll have a look at it. Not only that, they have selected passages, the passage is not entire. You see that there are many dots. So they have skipped. So we'll have a look at what he's saying, because this, as I was reading just now, it tallies so well with what Srimad is saying, all the different planes of consciousness. Okay. So, this self is a self of knowledge. When they have spoken earlier about the self, so he is not defining what the self is. The Upanishad is not defining because already they have spoken about it. So the self, if you remember, is to be experienced in the second level of the spiritual planes of consciousness. So this self, and what is its characteristic? You get knowledge. It's a self of knowledge. Knowledge with a K cap. That means not the knowledge of the physical world, but the knowledge of reality. Okay. And what is that reality? That's another matter. So you get knowledge. And what is that knowledge? It's an inner light in the heart. It's not an outer light like a physical light, but it's an inner light. And anyway, light, when it comes in, illumines and you see reality. So that is knowledge. When you start seeing the reality, you don't need any description. You know it, what it is. And he's saying in the heart. So the heart doesn't mean necessarily as we understand it, but it's a human being. That's what it means. And he is a conscious being, common to all the states of being, and moves in both worlds. So here he is speaking of both worlds. So you have divided matter and spirit. They are the two worlds. But later on you will see that there are other planes also that they speak about. So he moves in both worlds means this self, the reality of the individual soul, can position itself in any of these planes. It has the power to station itself, settle itself in any of these planes. And when it settles itself in any plane, he will get the knowledge of that plane and the nature of that and the laws of that plane. So when we are in the lowest one, we are in ignorance. That's the law. So he becomes a dream self and passes beyond this world and its forms of death. So the dream self is the second world. The Upanishads very often they speak about three levels. Level one is the waking state, Jagrat. Actually, Jagrat physically, but spiritually, Jagrat is a sleep. We don't know what we are, ignorance. So this it took me a long time to make out, but this is what it means. That there is the Jagrat world is actually spiritually a state of sleep. And the next one is a dream self. That's a subtle world. So there is this Sthula Jagat, then there is a Sukshma Jagat, and there is a Karana Jagat. So when he speaks of dream self, these are the three planes of consciousness there is speaking of. The gross world, the subtle world, and the causal world. So he becomes the self and go into the dream self. That is the second level. Okay. And when you are in the dream self, Why do they call it dream? Because it is subtle. Okay, the physical world is gross, but the dream self is subtle. And passes beyond this world and its forms of death. Beyond this world means the physical world, and in the physical world, the forms are all subject to death and transience. That's what it is. There are two planes of his conscious being, this and the other worlds. So the physical world and all the other worlds, they are clubbing together and saying they are spirit and this is matter. So there's so many ways of dividing. So you can see already that how they have divided the thing. Okay. So this world and the other worlds, the subtler worlds which are above, and they are clubbing all together in this particular phrase. A third state is a place of joining. So this is exactly what fits with Sri Aurod's philosophy. The third state is the supermind, and it's a place of joining, if you remember. The supermind connects the lower world and the higher world. It connects Satchidananda, which is higher, to it, and it joins the physical world to it. It's a point of transition. So if you want to go to the highest level, you have to go through the supermind. And if the Satchidananda wants to manifest, it has to come through the supermind. Okay, so it's a middle world. It's absolutely in the dead center of the two worlds. So that's why joining. So they put the word joining. I don't remember the Sanskrit, but very clear here. Okay, so the third world is the place of joining. The state of dream, that's the second one. And when he stands in this place of their joining, that is supermind, he sees both planes of his existence. He sees the physical world as well as he sees the higher world. In other words, he sees the Purusha and Prakriti. You remember he has discussed in great detail in the synthesis. He says that when you are standing at that level, sometimes you are standing only in the higher plane, sometimes you are standing in the lower plane, sometimes you are standing in both. And when you are standing in both, there is usually a disbalance. There is more of Purusha and less of Prakriti. Or there is more of Prakriti and less of Purusha. All these possibilities are there. So is so inclusive. Spiritual level, spiritual knowledge is not something fixed and absolutely rigid. It is very, very flexible. Each individual can experience in his own way. So the planes of his existence, this world, the physical world, and the other world, the subtle world, all clubbed together. When he sleeps, he takes the substance of this world in which all is and himself undoes and himself builds by his own illumination, his own light. Now they are speaking of when he sleeps. Okay, so when he sleeps, he is referring to the higher plane of consciousness. It's called the deep sleep, Sushupti. Okay. Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti. Sushupti is the third. Actually, Sushupti, because in the physical world, if someone looks at someone who is in a higher level of consciousness, you feel that he is sleeping. He's got his eyes closed or again closed, but he's absolutely unaware of the physical world. So actually, it's a little opposite. If you want to see from this physical point of view, then we are Jagrat in this world. We are awake. And when we are in the higher level of consciousness, in the physical world, it seems as though the yogi is sleeping. Okay? But spiritually speaking, it's the other way around. In the physical world, when we think we are really awake, we are actually spiritually sleeping. We don't know ourselves. And when he goes to the highest level, that is he is actually awake, but the physical body is sleeping. Okay? Someone who sees someone in trance thinks that he is not aware of the physical world, he is unconscious. Actually, he is fully conscious within. Okay? So this confusion should not be there. It depends on, so when the Upanishad speaks of sleep, they mean the higher level of consciousness where you are really spiritually awake. Okay? He takes the substance of this world in which all is and himself undoes and himself builds by his own illumination, his own light. So what does that mean? That means to say he becomes divine himself, because the divine has the capacity to dissolve and rebuild. So in the second level, even that power starts coming, because he can dissolve. Means when you are in the second level of consciousness, the world disappears for you. So you have dissolved the world by your going to that level of consciousness. And when you go slightly higher, again you start seeing that it is real. So that is what is meant by this phrase. He takes the substance of this world, in which all is, it exists, and himself undoes and himself builds. It depends at which level he is. He can see the physical world as unreal, undoes, and himself he builds by his own illumination. He has the power to build the reality of the world. And Srivas told you, if you remember, when you go to self, you can have 2 or 3 possibilities. One possibility is you are in the cosmic consciousness and you don't reject the physical world. At that time, you are building the world. Okay, and when you are in the nirvana consciousness, the physical world is unreal to you. You have undone the world. Himself builds by his own illumination, his own light. You start the identification with the divine is also gradual. So when you are in the second level, there is a gradual identification with the divine, not fully, but when you are identified, naturally you have his power to dissolve and to make. Okay. When this conscious being sleeps, he becomes luminous with his self. So this seems to be a little contradictory, but when this conscious being sleeps means you are in the higher levels of consciousness. It's not sleep. Physically it's a sleep. Those who are watching the yogi will feel he is sleeping, but actually he is in a trance where he is fully awake, and therefore he becomes luminous with his self-light. And what is this self-light? He himself is the self-light. Okay. And not the word self-light, because it's not coming from outside. It's your own light. You are the divine essentially, and that light illumines your lower parts. Okay. Now, there is a description of the featurelessness of these. Okay, it's very interesting the way they are described. There are no roads, no chariots, no joys, no pleasures, no tanks, nor ponds, nor rivers. But he creates them by his own light, for he is the maker. So, this is a description of the featurelessness of the nirvana consciousness. Okay. Nothing is there. You can't describe in any way. Neither joy nor pleasure. If you remember, you are in the witness consciousness. And when you are in the witness consciousness and you are not affected by your body-mind life, what happens? You are absolutely at peace. There is neither joy nor suffering. You are completely free. That's why Sri Aurobindo calls it a negative peace. Because he wants you to have a peace which is full of joy, and that you get as a third level. Okay. According to Sri Aurobindo, there is suffering at level 1, there is no suffering or no joy at level 2, and there is only joy and peace and everything at the third level. That's his theory. So, now, he is a maker. By sleep, that means at the higher level of consciousness, he casts off his body. His body has no importance for him. He can cast it off physically, because those who are yogis can get rid of their body consciously. Okay, they take Ichcha Mrityu. They just sit quietly and go out of their body. And unsleeping sees those that sleep. Now the meaning is changing. He is not sleeping anymore. Okay? By sleep he casts off his body. By sleep he casts off his body means he has to do yoga to do that. And when he does that, now he becomes unsleeping. Now he's got full knowledge. He is awake spiritually. Sees those that sleep. Those who are still in ignorance, he sees them. He preserves by his life breath this lower nest. Okay. So part of him is there in the physical world. He preserves by his life breath, the vitality, this lower nest. The lower nest is the body-mind life. Very clear. And goes forth, but immortal from this nest. Okay. So when you reach the second level, you realize that you are immortal. Okay. You are Your soul has always existed and will always exist. He preserves by his life breath this lower nest. So he can also be part of, in the lower nest means in the body mind life, he can be there, okay? And goes forth immortal from his nest. Immortal, he goes where he wills. He has got full knowledge and full power to go wherever he wants. The golden Purusha, the solitary swan. In India, we have the picture of the swan, okay? Uh, that's the symbol of the realized soul, na? Hamsa. Okay? Ramakrishna, he is also described as the swan, Paramahamsa, the solitary swan. Note the word solitary, because there is the only reality. They say the country of waking only is his, for the things which he sees when awake, these only he sees when asleep. But there he is his own self-light. That last say, they say means, you can experience it if you want. That's what they say. The country of waking only is his. For the things which he sees when awake, these only he sees when asleep. So it sounds so, this is very Sri Aurobindonian, oxymoronic. When awake, he sees these things. When he's awake. But we understand exactly what is being said. Okay, it depends on which stand you are taking. If you are in the lower stand, if you are in the body mind life, you are awake. But spiritually, you are asleep. So if you go up, physically you are sleeping in the body, others see you as sleeping, or you are awake, physically, fully awake in your consciousness. That's what it is. Then last one, the Prashna Upanishad. Prashna Upanishad is an Upanishad with 6 questions. Okay, so what is seen and what is not seen? What is experienced and what is not experienced? What is and what is not? All it sees, it is all and sees. Now that's a very interesting one. It is so short, but this is exactly what Mother also says. If you want to know the divine integrally, you have to be aware of the whole universe at the same time. So all it sees, it is itself all, and it sees. Okay? So this is it has to see everything right from top to bottom. What is existing and what is not existing. What is and what is not. It depends at which level you are. If you are in the physical world is real for you. What is? That is the one that is exists. And when you are at the higher level, that is the reality and this is the unreality. So is there really anything unreal totally? In the previous chapter, he has told you that nothing is really undivine. So there is a reality. There can be no unreality in the divine. How can there be? So it's only a less and more real. So this is this second quotation from the Prashna Upanishad sums up the chapter. What is seen and what is not seen. So what is the reality and what is not the reality. So if you want to go back to the chapter heading, look at that. The cosmic illusion. Is there really an illusion? And what is the mind, what is its role in this thing? And what is dream? Dream we always think is unreal. Is it really unreal? And hallucination. Hallucination is a word we use for things which don't have a real, which you feel are real, but they are really not real in the physical world. Is that also a reality? So that's a chapter that is going to deal with. Okay. So
Excuse me.
Tell me.
You know, all these passages which are there prior to the chapter beginning
Yes.
must have been all selected by Sri Aurobindo, no?
No. Selected by Puraniji and approved by Sri Aurobindo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it is Puraniji who offered all these. Maybe he offered even more, and Sri Aurobindo selected from the what he had offered. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Puranaji was very instrumental in all these things. And remember, Puranaji was in Anuben. He was Anuben's father. Anuben was a dancer, and she used to teach also in Auroville. Okay, in Udavi she used to teach. She has passed away now. And she used to teach Hindi in the school. Okay. Her father was,
But
yeah,
but
yeah.
wasn't the life divine written in the days of the Arya?
It in Arya, it was not a book.
Yeah, there were various essays.
Yeah. So when it was compiled into a
But
book,
Puraniji was not there at that time.
no, he was not. No, he was not. So we'll have to look at the original Veda, the Arya. Okay, we have the original Aryas in the archives. I would have to look at them and see whether Lavdiman has got these passages there. I'll have to see. I'm not sure. I'll verify that.
Rangada,
Yeah, tell me.
Rangada, as far as I know, the Life Divine has been revised a lot after that, na? When Sri
Yes. Yeah, in 19.
in the book form.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in
the
the
previous was around 500 some pages, which was in the Arya, and the
yeah.
final book is 1070 pages. No? So
Yes, yes, absolutely.
could be
He added.
possible that when the book was.
Yeah, it's very
And
possible that happened. 90% that's what happened. He added a lot of chapters. He revised the whole thing in the 40s. Okay. In the 40s, he did that. But synthesis, he did not revise. But he made corrections in his own
yeah,
book,
yeah,
which
you
was
had told
discovered
that.
afterwards. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so this is the chapter. What is real and what is unreal? Is there really something in the previous chapter? He has discussed what is divine and what is undivine. Now he is discussing the nature of reality itself. Okay, we have two branches of knowledge and philosophy. One is called ontology, and the other is called the epistemology. Okay, so one is the study of what is reality, and the other is the what is knowledge, how to get knowledge. That is epistemology. And ontology, what is the nature of reality? Is there really something, study of reality? Because the problem arises even in the physical world. Na? When you see a blue sky, you feel it is really blue. There is no blue. When you see a rainbow, you feel it is real, but there is no rainbow at all there. It's an illusion of the senses. So that's why the question arises. And so man tries to get what is reality and what is the way of knowledge. How do you gain knowledge? These are the two branches of philosophy, ontology and epistemology. So we have got enough time, I think, just to read one para. So,
Shall I read?
yes, all
All
human.
human thought, all mental man's experience move between a constant affirmation and negation. There is for his mind no truth of idea, no result of experience that cannot be affirmed, none that cannot be negated. It has negated the existence of the individual being, negated the existence of the cosmos, negated the existence of any immanent or underlying reality, negated any reality beyond the individual and the cosmos, but it is also constantly affirming these things, sometimes one of them solely, or any two, or all of them together. It has to do so because our thinking mind is in its very nature an ignorant dealer in possibility, not possessing the truth behind any of them, but sounding and testing each in turn or many together, if so perchance it may get at some settled belief or knowledge about them, some certitude. Yet, living in a world of relativities and possibilities, it can arrive at no final certainty, no absolute and abiding conviction. even the actual, the realized can present itself to our mentality as a maybe or may not be. A side. What side va na side va, or as an is under the shadow of the mighty have not been, and wearing the aspect of that which will not be hereafter. Our life being is so afflicted by the same incertitude, it can rest in no aim of living from which it can derive a sure or final satisfaction, or to which it can assign an enduring value. Our nature starts from facts and actualities which it takes for real. It is pushed beyond them into a pursuit of uncertain possibilities and led eventually to question all that it took as real. For it proceeds from a fundamental ignorance, has no hold on assured truth. All the truths on which it relies for a time are found to be partial, incomplete, and questionable.
So, very positive statement. What is real and what is not real? Everything man is going on denying and affirming, denying and affirming. This is the reality of the dualities in the physical world. Everything can be challenged. Even science is fully aware of that. To every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. So this is the nature of the physical world, dualities, and all are valid. Okay. They can be seen as real or unreal. Very categorical statement and rather simple actually basically that everything can be challenged. So if everything can be challenged, this is the Advaita philosophy. In that case, how can some religions say, no, there is only one thing which is not challengeable, and that is Christ, or that is the Allah. So, this is what the Advaita philosophy denies. There is nothing. You have to go on when from your level. You have to seek. The only valid profession that you can have or the activity that you can have is to seek. Go on seeking. What you seek, somebody else will find something else. So no restriction on the path that you have to choose. This is the greatness of the Advaita philosophy and the essence of Hinduism. No categorical statements. Everybody is free to decide what he wants to do and what path he wants to take. Okay. This is the full freedom, and you are allowed each thing, and all these so many philosophies come into the picture because that not a single one is denied. There can be arguments, but not a denied. So we quickly go through the all human thought, all mental man's experience. Mental man's experience, level 1. Okay, moves between a constant affirmation and negation. Every opinion that you hold, somebody or other will have an opposite opinion. Okay, there is for his mind no truth of idea, no result of experience that cannot be affirmed, none that cannot be negated. Anything you say can be challenged, and challenged quite validly. That's what he's saying. Okay? There is no absolute truth in the physical world. Everything is relative. It has negated the existence of the individual being. This is the Buddhist philosophy. Okay, Mayavadan also. Okay, a certain section of Mayavadan. It has negated the existence of the individual. There is no such thing as the individual soul. There is only the vast nirvana. Negated the existence of the cosmos. Okay, that's a Mayavada philosophy. There is no cosmos. It's all images only. Negated the existence of any immanent or underlying reality. That's a materialist. There is no underlying reality at all. Everything is only matter. Negated any reality beyond the individual. There is no God and the cosmos. There is no such thing as God. But it is also constantly affirming these things. Yes, there is God. Yes, the physical world is real. Yes, this is. Everything can be challenged. Sometimes one of them solely, or any two, or all of them together. Okay, so there is the 3 levels. So in the 3 levels, sometimes you will say This is true, that is not true. This is true, that is not true. And in Sri Aurobindo Yoga, all the three are true. It has to do so because our thinking mind is in its very nature an ignorant dealer in possibilities. Why did it become ignorant? Because of manifestation. Manifestation implies limitation, and when you have come down to the physical world, you are in a limited consciousness, and limited consciousness is ignorance. Again, exactly the first quotation of the chapter, Anityam Asukam Lokam. Okay? Anityam, it's a transient word. Doesn't have a reality, permanent reality. Okay? So, sometimes one of them solely, or any two of, or all of them together. So, sometimes one of them solely, uh, the Mayavadins say that the self is the only reality, the physical world is unreal. And any two or all of them together, the materialist will say that the universe and the individual are real. Okay, so they are different theories. Or all of them together is the Advaita philosophy. It has to do so because our thinking mind is in its very nature an ignorant dealer in possibilities, not possessing the truth behind any of them. Some truth you can get, but you don't possess the truth. You're not master of the truth. It can be challenged. But sounding and testing each in turn, or many together, if so perchance it may get at some settled belief or knowledge about them, some certitude. There's a constant search going on. Okay? And this is true of science also. It goes on searching, and gets certain things which can use, but it is ever in incertitude because it never can find the ultimate reality. It thinks it can find, but it will never find the the ultimate reality. That's his experiment going on in the Alps, the CERN, Center for European Research in Nuclear Science. Okay. They have built a 27-kilometer tunnel under the Alps, and they are trying to find the last particle, God particle. They will never find it because there is no end to the smallness. Infinitesimal can go on eternally, down, down, down. It will never come. Okay. So, so you try to get something, but that's best you can do at these lower levels. Yet, living in a world of realities and possibilities, it can arrive at no final certainty. If you are identified with the body, mind, life, and you think the physical world is real, it will never find any certainty. In fact, Sri Aurobindo says that even if you go up to the second level and even the highest of the second level, which is the overmind consciousness, you still don't know what the reality is. Okay? It can arrive at no final certainty, no absolute and abiding conviction, abiding, permanent. Even the actual, the realized, can present itself to our mentality as a maybe or may not be. Syadva, na syadva. This is the Jain philosophy. Jain philosophy is very interesting actually, and they say that if you want to describe something, can you ever really describe something fully? They say no, not possible. Because if you want to describe something, you have to say it weighs so much, it has got this color, it has got that shape, it is this, it weighs, this is this. Is that enough? No, because you can never exhaust the description. You can go on forever. But there's another aspect. Now you have to tell what that damn thing is not. It is not red, it is not this way, it is not that way, it is not this, not that. So, syadva, na syadva. In other words, nothing is absolutely determinable in the physical world. That's what he's saying. That's what the Jain philosophy says. Syad means maybe. Okay, it may be. Syadva, it may be or may not be. So, or is an is under the shadow of the might not have been, and wearing the aspect of that which will not be hereafter. So, transience. Wearing the aspect of that which will not be hereafter is a transience. Today it is there, tomorrow it won't be there. Okay? Our life being is also afflicted by the same incertitude. It can rest in no aim of living from which it can derive a sure or final satisfaction, or to which it can assign an enduring value. Nothing is ultimately real. Okay. There is this Tejas Dasartha, and he was trying to find something which is absolutely lasts forever. He thought of gold. Okay, gold will not rust, and it will. But even that is not true. Even that can change. Okay? That also can deteriorate. Our nature, human nature, starts from facts and actualities, which it thinks are facts and actualities, which it takes for real. It is pushed beyond them into a pursuit of uncertain possibilities and led eventually to question all that it took as real. When your consciousness goes from level 1 to level 2, you start seeing that everything is unreal, so you start questioning what is the reality. That's a whole chapter. Reality and the cosmic illusion. Is it a hallucination? Is it this? Is it that? There is always a little doubt. For it proceeds from a fundamental ignorance and has no hold on assured truth. All the truths on which it relies for a time are found to be partial, incomplete, and questionable. This is true in the spiritual world, and it's also true in science. Okay? Everything that you have a theory of, finally you see that it is questionable. So we have gone 6 minutes beyond our time. So I'm sorry. I'm stopping here. So next time we will. Okay, next time we will do that summary of the chapter. Okay, we'll try. I'll do chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4. We are in chapter 5 now. So those 4 chapters, but it will be very brief. It will tell you exactly what he's dealing with. No? That may not be very difficult to say. We'll do that. Okay. Au revoir, everybody. Yeah. Have a nice day.